Hey folks, welcome back to Nutrition Made Simple, a series that we created that takes a look at ideas surrounding natural health topics, and then we break them down into easy to understand and actionable steps that you can take. I'm joined again today by Mr. Ed Jones. He is the owner and the founder of Nutrition World. And this month, we're changing topics, and we're going to be looking at kind of the stress-pain connection, if you will, because there is definitely a connection between those two. But first up, we're going to be taking a look at the differences between chronic and acute pain. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I think, Ed, most people are familiar relatively with the differences between chronic and acute, but could you give us a few details just in case?
Yes, Brian, thank you. And, you know, we all have had acute pain, the headache, the sprained ankle, the soreness in the gym or injury, and we know what that's like. It's usually 3 days to a week. Well, chronic pain is 3 months or more of a similar pain. And we have 100 million people in this country that could be classified as chronic pain sufferers. And that's a huge number, and it seems to be growing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think kind of our first topic that we need to cover is what pain actually is and how it's created in the body, because that's not something we really think about that often, honestly. So can you just give us a quick rundown on how that occurs, what's happening in the body when we feel pain?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we think that the pain is coming from where the pain is. In fact, it's not. The pain is generated from a nerve that sent a message to the brain, and then back through the spinal cord, there's a message that says, this is going to hurt. And the reason it does it is actually created here, not in the hip or the knee, even though the injury's there. So this messaging of the brain is how, of course, many drugs work to short circuit that message. But it's interesting that it is all in the brain. It doesn't mean the pain's not real, but it is just what it is. That's what science has confirmed.
Yeah, so mind over matter, right? It's as easy as that.
I wish.
Yeah. So traditional use would be, or traditional treatment of any kind of pain would be something like an NSAID, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and there are others out there really, but those are the most available, the ibuprofens, the Motrins. I've taken these. I know, like, if I have a migraine or something like that, it works, and it works quickly. But it's not something that we want to do a lot, right?
No, we do not. And I'm certainly, as I'm getting less young, I will say, is experimenting with more challenges. It just comes with the territory of being human. And I know very well from just my 43 years experience, but also my personal experience, these drugs are fantastic in a short run. I'm just like you. I used to be very purist, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm not taking anything synthetic or pharmaceutical. Well, life is life, and we have to perform sometimes in the midst of heavy problems, and one of those can be pain. And they can buy us some comfort, and that's important. 3 to 7 days of these things are really probably not going to damage anyone. They really probably aren't. It's when you get into the months and months. And what happens is every pill you take, you're going to bleed in the gut. Every pill. And one pharmacist, Dr. Joe Graydon, once said that every aspirin you take, you're going to bleed a quarter teaspoon of blood with every one aspirin. Well, these Advils, Motrins, naproxens are far stronger than that. Who knows how much blood you're going to lose? So you're causing gut damage. And we talk gut health constantly. You have to have proper gut health, or everything from the brain to the body will diminish with its health. Secondly, kidney function. Oh my gosh. Because we do blood testing here, there's so many people now that are accessing and powering their own information, like coming here every Tuesday to get blood work or the last Friday of the month. And when the GFR, which is the reading for kidney function, half of the people who are low on that, there's a story of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories because they're very damaging. And then Tylenol, you got to pick your poison. Tylenol's liver, because the number one reason for liver transplants in this country is overdosing of Tylenol. And then, of course, back to the Advil and Motrins, we've got possible heart attack risk that increases. And that's significant. And there also is a thing that I've certainly learned. When you take these drugs, they kind of change the way the pain receptors operate. And what I mean by that is if you take them long enough, and long enough is 3 months or more, you're going to change the way your body senses pain. That means when you come off of them, a pain that I would count as, say, level 4 out of 1 to 10 could be a level 7, because it's just changing the messaging of the pain, even though the pain's actually not a 7, but it got so used to the painkillers being in there. And it's tough for people to come off of these. You don't think that the advertising companies know this? It's kind of like getting addicted to Coca-Cola. It's hard to get off of these things because they're not telling you the truth. So again, short run, great. Long run, we got to have alternatives. And I just, of course, that's what we talk about here.
Okay. Yeah, and of course, that's what we're all about, as Ed was saying, is some natural alternatives to NSAID use, and things to help tame inflammation and pain, because that's really kind of at the source of what we're talking about. So I know that we were talking a little before we recorded, and you had 3 or 4 kind of key ingredients that are some of your favorites, and those can be found in varying formulas, or products that we have. So can you just highlight those few ingredients that you were talking about?
Absolutely. And firstly, I think I hugely believe in an anti-inflammatory diet. What is that? It could be a keto diet. It could be a very plant-based with all good healthy fats. I think we need to not be using inflammatory foods. Inflammation creates inflammation. Well, what is that? That's a cousin to pain. So we want to live a life of better sleep, and omega-3s create less of those inflammatory pathways.
Right.
And then glucosamine helps to put more lubrication in. But that's not going to really help you if you have if I'm hurting right now, it's not going to help right now.
Right.
But I want to do it for the long run. But so what is the right now? The right now is we have vast research now on the right brand of curcumin, one called BCM95 that is clinically studied, that reduces some of the inflammatory pathways. What is that? That's the messaging that's going from the brain to the body and the body back to the brain saying, you hurt. And why does the body produce that? It does it because it has perceived fear and perceived danger. It's doing it to protect us, but the buttons can get locked on after a period of a month or two, and then you just keep having chronic pain, yet there's no real danger. And the body's really not broke, but it keeps this cycle going. Well, curcumin lowers some of the inflammatory effects. Boswellian, which is called Indian frankincense, is the second one, and it works on a different pathway. And then, lastly is the black sesame seed oil. We found that is a third party to all this combo that can be used. And in fact, Brian, you saw me. I took some of these just about 30 minutes ago because I come and go with my hip thing, which is getting better. But that is totally safe. I mean, again, you're being treated for medical conditions. Check with your doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few drugs that might interact, Coumadin being one of them. I wouldn't want people to take. But check with your doctor if you want to do this. But these are used for chronic or acute pain. So I use curcumin every day because so many other health reasons, but I use more of the other type when I have acute pain, which is now pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go, folks. That's a little bit of information on pain. We hope that it was helpful. Hopefully you learned something new. And I'll link some of the products that we have specifically with those ingredients in the description below. But thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate you taking the time. And if you like the content, please like and subscribe. That helps us get the word out as well. So thanks so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time on Nutrition Made Simple.
Thank you.